Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, Haribol. Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol, Haribol. Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol. Gaura Premanandi.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much, Abhay Prabhu, for the beautiful kirtan. We're very fortunate. His Holiness Rompad Swami Maharaj is here in Austin, and this is our first home program in Prashant Prabhu and Meena Mataji's house. Thank you, devotees, for coming. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for coming and giving us your holy association. Quick, don't think anyone is new here, but very, very brief introduction about Maharaj. Maharaj is a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada and has been involved in various services within ISKCON for the past 50 years. Maharaj travels extensively around US and India, sharing the teachings from our Vedic scriptures and has spoken in various corporations and colleges. With that, let us welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
That was very short. Thank you. I like it. number of the evening gatherings are going to be focused on our visit to Haridwar, Rishikesh, and Badrinath. And this evening, we're going to be visiting a very nice place, as you see on the screen, Shukra Tal. It's the place where the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. We visited the place. It's a very nice place. Here's the Tal, or Akshayvat Vriksha. It's said that this is the very same tree underneath which Shukadeva Goswami sat and delivered Srimad Bhagavatam. He didn't have an amplification system, but according to the texts, there were 80,000 sages. Somehow he had his voice carried or something. 80,000. Think about it. 80,000 sages for 7 days. And he spoke to Maharaj Pariksit. Here's what Prabhupada writes in one purport from Canto 1, Chapter 19. When he was assured of his death and fixed on a fixed date, Maharaj Pariksit became more determined in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna by complete fasting on the bank of the transcendental river Yamuna, which flows down by the capital of Hastinapur. So this isn't in Hastinapur, this is up in Haridwar. Next to Kurukshetra, in the northern part of the adjoining forest of Shukratal, along the Ganga, where Shukadev sat beneath a banyan tree in the midst of 80,000 sages and spoke Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksit. Next verse in purport, Jiva Goswami's comment, that the king took shelter on the bank of the Yamuna appears to be more accurate because of the geographical situation. In other words, sometimes it says by the bank of the Ganga. Maharaj Pariksit resided in the capital of Hastinapur, and the river Yamuna flows down past the city. Naturally, the king would take shelter of the river Yamuna because she was flowing past his palace door. Canto 3, Chapter 13. The goal of a person engaged in hearing scripture from the Guru for a long time, praised by the great devotees, is hearing the glories of those in whose hearts Mukunda resides. Now, Krishna is in the heart of everyone. But this phrase means that not just, a mosquito has super soul within his heart. And a snake and a scorpion and, mouse and all living entities side by side with the jiva is the super soul. But what this means is in his heart means with devotion. So being conscious and attentive to the fact that the Lord is residing in their heart. Sukadeva Goswami, as we know, he was the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a little controversy, in case you didn't know what the controversy is. How old was he when he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam? So commonly we say he was 16. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, it states that Shukadeva Goswami was present during the passing of grandfather Bhishma. And the passing of grandfather Bhishma was before or after the Bhagavatam was spoken? Before. From the Mahabharata, it is understood that he was also present at the royal assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So the passing of grandfather Bhishma took place shortly after Yudhishthir was enthroned as the emperor, because he, Yudhishthir, came with the Pandavas dressed in the royal attire, knowing that grandfather Bhishma would be very pleased that he's the emperor. In Canto 6, Chapter 3, it says that Shukadeva Goswami heard the history of Ajamila from Agastya Muni in the Malaya Hills. So that's much later. And in the Bhagavatam, chapter 19 of Canto 1, it describes the arrival of Shukadeva in the presence of Pariksit Maharaj just prior to the king's demise, indicating the son of Vyasa was only 16 years old. Dvi, Ashta, Dvi, that's 10, and Ashta means 8. Ashta is 8. Dvi, so 2 8s. 2 8s. 8 plus 8. Usually that's 16, right? Okay, so we have some apparent contradictions. How old was he? And our acharyas take it on. The verse says it was as if he was 16. This is a commentary by one acharya, not in our line, but another acharya commenting on the Bhagavatam on this particular verse. He was as if 16, means he just didn't get older. His body remained looking youthful, so it was as if he was 16 when he spoke the Bhagavatam. Clear? Okay, good. Now, this class is purposefully dedicated to Maharaj Pariksit, and we'll start with different names of Maharaj Pariksit. The main name of Maharaj Pariksit is, because he saw, before he was born, he saw the personality of Godhead who came to protect him from the Brahmastra fired by Ashwatthama. He saw Lord Vishnu. So for the rest of his life, he was searching, where's Vishnu, where's Vishnu, where's Vishnu? Parikshita, the examiner. Because he was constantly contemplating the Lord whom he had seen in the womb and searched for him among all men, he was famous as Pariksit. That's one of his names. In the Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 86, Arjuna, we know, kidnaps Subhadra. Now, a little bit of the history of Arjuna's pilgrimage. The history of Arjuna's pilgrimage was when Draupadi was brought back to the ashram where Kunti was staying, and from outside the cottage where Kunti was staying, good news, Mata. There's a very wonderful gift that's been given to Arjuna. She said, very well, you share it amongst yourselves. And then they walked in the room, the cottage, and the gift was Draupadi. But she uttered it. And so they felt obliged, because they were cultured like that. Our mother said, So we're all supposed to share that wonderful gift that was given to Arjuna. But how are 5 men supposed to marry 1 woman? They were puzzled how to comply with what she said. So they went to Vyasa, and Vyasa said, no problem. In her previous life, before Draupadi was born, she had undergone austerities for the pleasure of Lord Shiva. And when Lord Shiva came, it was awesome. She was in astonishment. And he said, whatever you desire, it shall be yours. And she, in 5 times, she said, I'd like a husband. I'd like a husband. Like this. Okay, you'll have 5 husbands. A good husband, not just a husband, good husband. Qualified husband. So Vyas said, since it was uttered by Lord Shiva, it's okay. She can marry 5. Although it's not common, but it's authorized by Lord Shiva. So all 5 of the men married and 1 wife. So in her wisdom, Kunti said, you should follow the following arrangement. Each of you will be with Draupadi for 1 month, and the other 4 will not enter the room where Draupadi is with her particular brother. And then the next month, and then the next month. That was the arrangement. So they were compliant with what Kunti said. They were just like kind of went along with it. But, she had that position in their relationship with her. So one day, there was a problem. Sometimes there's problems. Not so often, but sometimes there's problems. And the problem was there were some dacoits that were attacking the cows, and the cowherd men called Arjuna to help. So Arjuna, being a hero, he wanted to help. So he went to get his weapons. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, by circumstance, the weapons, the arrows, etc., were in the same room where Yudhisthira and Draupadi were. So he went, got his weapons, chased away the dacoits, and came back and apologized to his brother. I violated the word of our mother. He said, well, you did the right thing. You were just giving protection when protection was needed. You did the right thing. And then he said, yes, but I violated the word of our mother. And so I need to atone for that violation. For 1 year, I'm going to go on pilgrimage to holy places. It's not needed. You didn't do anything wrong. He was determined. And so the very first place Arjuna went was, guess where? Haridwar. First place. And after travels and travels and travels and travels and travels, he came towards the end of that period of time. They're the 4 months of the rainy season. He was at Prabhas. You know what Prabhas is? It's on the other side of where the island of Dwarka was, and it's connected. It's under the same kingdom, but it's not in Dwarka. And he, Arjuna, had heard about Krishna's sister. Krishna's sister's name was Subhadra. And he heard about Subhadra from a cousin. They had lots of cousins. This particular cousin was named Gada, who had been residing in Dwarka, but he came all the way to Hastinapur to get training under Dronacharya, along with the Pandavas and others. So when Gada and Arjuna were together, Gada told Arjuna about Subhadra. Whoa, Subhadra. You should marry Subhadra. She's very worthy of you. So he had Subhadra in his mind. And so when he got to Prabhas, he sent a message to Krishna that he had come. Yeah. This is a detail. The detail says that when Arjuna, who didn't marry Uttara, instead, Arjuna suggested that Uttara could marry Abhimanyu, because Abhimanyu was the son of whom? Abhimanyu was the son of? Yeah. So when that battle of Kurukshetra was going on, Abhimanyu was only 16. And on the very first day of the battle, Abhimanyu was such a hero. He was unstoppable. And so they decided to break the rules. They ganged up on him, 7 powerful generals fighting against Abhimanyu alone. And that wasn't nice. And it was during this period of time that Ashvatthama, after Abhimanyu was killed, he wanted to kill the remaining, after the sons of the Pandavas were killed and Abhimanyu was killed, he wanted to kill the sole remaining survivor. That's Maharaj Pariksit. So we have a little bit of understanding of Maharaj Pariksit in his previous life. I didn't go through the whole explanation of, maybe I could, maybe I should. Arjuna sent a messenger to Krishna in Dwarka saying, Haribo, I'm here. So what did Krishna do? He didn't say, well, come on, come see me. Krishna came to him. Krishna came to him. That's how kind Krishna was to Arjuna. And they had their discussions, and Arjuna shared with him his travels for 9 months, going all around the country to different places of pilgrimage and etc. When Arjuna went, I don't know if it's in this presentation, I don't think so. When Arjuna went to Haridwar, one of the things he did was he took bath in the Ganga for purification. When he took bath in the Ganga, you know what happened? The Naga princess named Ulupi said, whoa, 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 I'm not a married woman. Come with me. And she grabbed him and pulled him underwater and took him all the way down, 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 down to Nagaloka. And said, I'm not married. Please marry me. My father said, okay, you can marry me. She was pretty direct. And he said, well, I'm on pilgrimage. I've taken a vow. I'm not going to have any connections. And she said, and I hold virtue. So I'm sorry, I can't oblige you. She said, it's okay, because your vow is in relation to your wife. You took a vow in relation to your wife, but I'm not your wife, and I have no husband, so let's get married. It's not in violation of Dharma. He thought that was pretty clever. And they married, right, she was the daughter of the king of the Nagas. And they married, and a son was born. That son that was born became one of the heroes in the Kurukshetra battle. And then things happen. So he's with Krishna outside of Dwarka, and Arjuna disclosed to Krishna, I heard about your sister from Gada, and your sister is, what do you think? Would she be a suitable wife for me? And Krishna said, excellent, but my elder brother Balaram, he has a different idea. And nobody else in Dwarka likes his idea. And she doesn't like his idea either. Balaram wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. So Krishna said, because that's Balaram's idea, let's make the following plan. You enter Dwarka not dressed like you're dressed right now. Come as a mendicant, a sannyasi mendicant. And if you go as a sannyasi mendicant, because Balaram likes inviting sannyasis to come for having meal with him, you'll get a chance to see Subhadra because she'll serve the meal. She'll cook the meal and serve the meal, and you can see if you like her. She can see if she likes you. And it was love at first sight, mutual. And it happened a few times. And the attachment became a little stronger. So Krishna pulled his sister to the side and said, Balaram has an idea to have you marry Duryodhana. Do you like that idea? Oh, terrible idea. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. What do you think of that hero? I can't remember the language that he used, but he spoke indirectly, and she put two and two together really quickly. That hero wasn't a sannyasi, it was Arjuna. And she sat up and said, oh, very attracted. So then Krishna knew what she wanted, and Krishna knew what Arjuna wanted. So Krishna told her, we'll make some arrangement. It's a really nice chapter, the Bhagavatam. Really nice chapter. And so there's a particular, always Subhadra would be in the palace of Balaram and no one would even see her, except there's a festival of the goddess Lakshmi, would leave the temple, go on a Rath, like a little Rath Yatra, to go visit someplace and then come back. It was like an annual festival. The deity of Lakshmi would leave the temple on a Rath cart and travel. So Krishna said, I'll lend you my own chariot. You come not dressed as a sannyasi, but you come dressed as Arjuna. And when you see Subhadra going for that procession, snatch her. And no one can catch you because it's my chariot. And it was Krishna's plan. Arjuna was very grateful. Exactly as Krishna said, Arjuna did. And when Subhadra was kidnapped, Balaram became furious. This is a big insult. So he called an assembly in the Sudharma assembly hall and got everybody fired up to put on their armor, get their weapons, and go capture. And then there was some advice given by an elder, Brahmana, an advisor, saying, well, you can't kill him because he's a messenger. You can't kill a messenger. You can put him in prison. You can punish him, but you can't kill him. Because they were really, angry. And in the assembly, Balaram looked at his brother. His younger brother, Krishna, was silent. So he asked Krishna, what do you think of all this? Until then, Krishna was just silent. They were, rah, 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 let's go get him. So Krishna smiled. He said, I don't think it's an insult, it's an honor. And he gave his explanation, Krishna-like kind of explanation. That it's honorable for a Kshatriya to have marriage like this. Because how would it work? Supposing he came the other way and he would then be given a dowry, and he's not like selling merchandise. That's not Arjuna. This is noble. And to consider, from the Yadu dynasty and the Kuru dynasty, if there's a merit, there's this alliance will strengthen both of us. So it's very good. And don't worry, you couldn't catch his chariot anyways, because it's my chariot. But instead, you should send an envoy and invite it to come back and have marriage right away, right here in Dwarka. That's my recommendation. Balaram did a U-turn. He accepted what Krishna said. They called out to Arjuna because they got near, and they came back and had a nice wedding. So Arjuna married Subhadra, and then in time Abhimanyu, and then all the rest of us here. So in his previous life, Maharaj Pariksit was a great devotee. Who knows the previous life of Maharaj Pariksit as a great devotee? Because he was in the womb of Uttara, but even before he was born, even before he was in the womb, he was a great devotee. When Uttara offered her prayers to Krishna, because it was Maharaj Pariksit, he is a great devotee, Krishna came and protected. Oh, my Lord, you are all-powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming toward me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally, if you so desire. But please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8. It's the same chapter as Kunti's prayers. So, because of his natural courage, Vira, this is another one of the names of Maharaj Pariksit, indicating his character. He was not afraid of fire weapon, the Brahmastra. So she was afraid, but he wasn't afraid, even within the womb. Then another name for Maharaj Pariksit is Vishnu Ratha, one who's always protected by Vishnu. Another name, Bharata, because he was a descendant of Bharata. Vrika Nrishu, tiger among men, found in Canto 1, Chapter 18. Now here's a nice chart. The contrast doesn't work so well. The Pariksit, it shows in the lower right. I have to fix the colors. She was the son of Uttara. And Uttara and Abhimanyu were married. You know that history? Should I narrate that history? When the Pandavas were in their 1 year of incognito, they disguised themselves in the palace of Virat. And this one did this, and that one did that, and the other one did the other thing, and they disguised themselves as people who they weren't. And the dance instructor for the daughter of King Virat was Arjuna. And he was such a good dance instructor that King Virat asked Arjuna to marry her. And Arjuna said, I can't marry her. I'm already married. But I have a son who's of marriageable age, about the same age as your daughter. So maybe Abhimanyu could marry your daughter. So remember, this is in the final year before the Kurukshetra battle happened, before their exile, etc. So they were married, and during that period of time, that's when Maharaj Pariksit was in Uttara's womb. When the birth ceremony took place, there's a tradition, the astrological calculations were made, and there was a big festival. Yudhishthira had a big festival, giving in charity, predicting Maharaj Pariksit's future by astrological calculation. The good King Yudhishthira inquired, "O great souls, will he become a saintly king, as pious as his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? Brahmanas said, better than that. He'll be exactly like King Ikshvaku. Who is Ikshvaku? Ikshvaku is the son of Vaivasvata Manu. In maintaining all those who are born, he'll be protector of all the citizens. As far as the Brahminical principles, especially being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Rama, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasarath. This child will be a munificent donor of charity and protector of the surrendered, like the famous King Shibi. King Shibi, famous King Shibi. He was to sacrifice. He was ready to cut his own flesh, to give his own flesh for sages that were very hungry. He will expand the name and fame of his family, like Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta. So his name was also given, we saw earlier, as Bharata, because he's a descendant of Bharata. Among great bowmen, this child will be as good as Arjuna. He'll be as irresistible as fire, as unsurpassable as the ocean. All this is in the Bhagavatam, his prediction. Strong as a lion, worthy shelter as worthy a shelter as the Himalaya mountains. That's really saying something. Forbearing like the earth, as tolerant as his parents. He'll be like his grandfather Yudhishthira, or Brahma in equanimity of mind, munificent, like the Lord of the Kailash Hills, Shiva. Pretty nice glorification before he's even, done anything. Almost as good as Lord Krishna by following in his footsteps, as magnanimous as King Ranti Dev, another charitable king, as religious as Maharaj Yayati, like Bali Maharaj in patience, like Prahlad Maharaj in devotion. Pretty good qualifications. After hearing about his death, which be carried by the bite of a snake bird sent by the son of a Brahmana, he will get himself freed from all material attachment and surrender unto the personality of Godhead, taking shelter of him. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyas, that's Shukadev, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachments and achieve a life of fearlessness. So the astrologers are pretty good. They got him right down to the final. He was a natural devotee even before he was Maharaj Pariksit, before he was doing what he did, because Krishna protected him. And he took shelter of Krishna and was very devoted to Krishna, naturally, from childhood. Both Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti write that when he was a little boy, he had a doll, and with a doll of Krishna, he would enact Krishna's pastimes. So some children do like this. Some of the other children do other things. But that was Maharaj Pariksit. And then they would, together, the boys, he would organize and orchestrate like a director of drama and have the boys enact Krishna's pastimes with his friends. Sridhar Swami comments, Maharaj Pariksit used to imitate the worship of the family deity of Krishna that was worshipped by the other family members. And here's some examples of his character. He led a life of responsibility. This is now he's king, because when the kingdom had to be turned over by Yudhishthira, when Yudhishthira left, the kingdom, before he left the king, when Yudhishthira came to know that Krishna had left, he didn't want to stay on as king anymore. But he knew already that who his successor would be, because it's Maharaj Pariksit, the eldest son, and their sons were killed. So he's the grandson. He's the heir to the throne. So the throne was turned over to him, Maharaj Pariksit. And he did all of his kingly duties very responsibly. As happens in life, there's adversities, but he met the adversities very strongly. He maintained elevated association, and then, of course, came his final departure from this world. Maharaj Pariksit conquered all parts of this is Canto 1, Chapter 16. He conquered all parts of the earthly planet, mentions where he went, and exacted tributes from their respective rulers. And as we know, one of the things that happened when he was on tour like this, he came across the personality of Kali. And when he saw the personality of Kali doing what he was doing, breaking the legs of a bull, he drew his sword and was ready to chop him. And as we know, what the personality of Kali did, he said, "You're a fair and just king. I'm taking shelter of you. Please spare my life." So he said, "All right, but if you're going to spare my life, you have to give me a place to stay." "Okay, you can stay. You're the personality of Kali." He knew who he was. "You can stay in the place where these 4 sinful activities are going on." Well, thank you very much, but those 4 sinful activities don't go on in your kingdom. He said, "Very well. Where there's hoarding of gold, these 4 sinful activities will go on, so you can take shelter there. Thank you very much." You know that from the Bhagavatam. So he was strong and upholding the principles of virtue, but in the painting is meant to show the sinful activities that didn't exist in his kingdom, but where there's hoarding of gold. So he stopped the personality of Kali, but he stopped short of killing him, the Bhagavatam says, the purports say, because he knew it's the age of Kali, so I can't kill the personality of Kali that would spoil the Lord's plan. But I have to deal with him. So he dealt with him in the way that we find described in the Bhagavatam. He gave, otherwise, in general, he gave protection to the citizens, the praja, even at the time of personal crisis. So here's Maharaj Pariksit inquiring from Shukadev, "I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons." Not just, he's going to die. Maharaj Shukadev Goswami has come, and everyone stands when Shukadev Goswami comes because many sages were assembled. And as soon as Shukadev Goswami came, they all stood and honored him. He had that kind of aura or presence, just without even saying anything. They understood his elevated position. And so Maharaj Pariksit first asked, what's the way of perfection for, not for me, but for all the citizens? Because he's the protector of the citizens. What is it? And what to speak of one who's about to die, like me? Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also if he should, what he should not do. That's his response to a death notice. Now, I know some people, we all know some people, who are struggling with health issues, like extended health issues, some. It doesn't seem to get better. It gets more complicated and more complicated. And it's like, there's a knock on the door that says your days are numbered. And what do you do when you know that your days are numbered? In his case, he had 7 days. That was the curse. You know how the curse happened, right? You know how the curse happened. Anyone here is new and doesn't know how the curse happened? Should I say? Raise your hand if you'd like me to narrate that pastime. Okay. Okay. Maharaj Pariksit was in the forest, as is required at times to practice his fighting skills, fighting wild animals, etc., etc. Go into the forest and do that. And because he's very capable of austerity, it's out of his character that he would become so thirsty that he was it's kind of like an uncontrolled thirst. And in the forest, he saw a cottage. And the cottage was the cottage of a rishi. And when he went in to see the rishi and asked the rishi for some water, he was in meditation. And so he didn't stand to receive the king. He didn't say anything. He was just in meditation. Now, Maharaj Pariksit can put 2 and 2 together and see he's not responding because he's in meditation. But he became angry. So thirsty and angry, 2 out of character behaviors. And in his anger, he had seen a snake outside the cottage. So he went back outside on the tip of his sword. He put the snake around the rishi's neck, saying, "This is a suitable ornament for you. You don't even have the proper culture to receive the king." And went off in a huff. Sometime later, the son of that sage heard what the king Pariksit had done. And so the son knew mantras, and he uttered a mantra that was like a mystical mantra, and he created a mystical entity, a snake that could fly. Snakes don't fly. Birds fly. And snakes crawl. But a snake that flies, no such thing. But by mantra, he created such a thing. And cursed that within 7 days, the king will die at the bite of this snake bird. Takshaka. The sage later heard what his son had done. So the sage sent a message to the king to inform him, I'm so embarrassed, I'm so shamed, but it's done, and what's done is done. It can't be withdrawn. My son has uttered this curse that can't be withdrawn. You're going to die in 7 days. And immediately, Maharaj Pariksit, being Maharaj Pariksit, he accepted the curse. I've offended a Brahmana, and so I deserve to be killed. So he gave up his kingdom, turned his kingdom over to his eldest son, and the eldest son later then became the king, and adopted the clothes of a mendicant, and went to this place, which was near where his kingdom was, which is what Jiva Goswami is reasoning, near the river Jamuna, preparing to die, and invited sages from all around the land to come, and they gathered to advise him and to be present during his departure. So he who was overcome by thirst is now going to fast for 7 days. Being overcome by thirst was just completely out of character. He's very capable austere person. It's just part of a pastime. So here's the pastime. There's the king. He's on tour. He sees the sage, and he comes before the sage and puts a snake around his neck. You know, the Bhagavatam describes it differently, this painting. He picked up the tip of the snake with the tip of his sword, placed it on the neck of the sage. His little boy, Shringi, heard what happened, and he cursed that his father down below. His father heard from his son what his son had done, and he then informed the king, this great misfortune is going to come to you. Commentary. To become angry in such a grave situation was not unnatural for a king, but because the king himself was not less than a great saint, his becoming angry and taking action, those were astonishing. This is commentary now. So it must be accepted that it was so ordained by the supreme will of the Lord. That's Prabhupada's purport to chapter 18. And when he heard, here's Prabhupada's quotes, what he heard. Even if you have got a very great kingdom, very nice wife, very nice society, how long? And if there's any mistake, next life you can get something else. But Pariksit Maharaj's life, from childhood, he was a devotee of Krishna. So there's the young boy uttering his curse, and there's the king finding out about the curse, and he decided, let me just give up my life this way. So it's with bhakti, we know from the Bhagavatam, with bhakti, two things come automatically, naturally: knowledge and detachment. And he was fully accepting of the circumstance. Prabhupada's lecture. So this was the curse given to him. He accepted it. He could counteract it. Maharaj Pariksit was Vaishnava. He was very powerful, but he thought, yes, I'm an offender. The Brahmana boy has cursed me. I shall accept it. And so he decided to take shelter of transcendental teachings, paradharma. Again, Prabhupada's lecture. He prepared himself for death. For 7 days, he placed himself on the bank of the Ganges, although Jiva Goswami says it was the Jamuna, without drinking a drop of water. For 7 days continually, he heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. We're narrating this because we visited the place where the narration occurred. When you get notice of some misfortune, sometimes you get notice, sometimes you just feel it. But you get notice, something. Now, if you're Maharaj Pariksit, you just take shelter of the personality of Godhead. And if you're not Maharaj Pariksit, you might do some other things without succumbing to thirst, fatigue, and anger. 7 days, 7 nights, facing death. I have heard from you this Srimad Bhagavatam. This is at the end of the 7 days, which is the perfect summary of all the Puranas, and which perfectly describe the Supreme Lord Uttama Shloka. My Lord, I now have no fear of Takshaka or any other living being, or even repeated deaths, because I have absorbed myself in that purely spiritual absolute truth, which you have revealed and which destroys all fear. O Brahmana, please give me permission to resign my speech and the functions of all my senses unto Lord Adhoksaja. Now, what happened next? The snake bird came. But when the snake bird came, he had mystical powers. He had shape-changing powers. So one of the things that he did is he assumed the form of a brahmana, heading for the place that was heavily guarded by guards that weren't going to let anybody in because they wanted to protect their king. On the way, he had this little encounter with Kashyapa. And he asked Kashyapa, my dear sir, where are you going? He said, I'm going to see the demise of Maharaj Pariksit. I have the power to remove poison, even to the point where someone may be killed by poison. I can remove the poison, bring them back to life. So Takshaka, in the guise of a Brahmana, said, really? Watch this. So Takshaka assumed the form of this serpent. He bit a tree, and the tree burnt instantly into ashes, a pile of ashes, and asked him, what you going to do? And Kashyapa brought the tree back to life again with all kinds of leaves and fruits and said, this is the power of these mantras. So then the Brahmana said to Kashyapa, when you're going there, are you expecting dakshin? He said, oh, yes, of course. It's just part of the culture. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you even more dakshin than you'll get from Maharaj Pariksit. Here it is. Just don't go there. And so he accepted dakshin. Maybe you've seen this painting before. That fellow in the lower right, that's Kashyapa, walking away from the scene with the dakshin he got from Takshaka. So Takshaka entered the assembly where Maharaj Pariksit was. I forget exactly how it goes. He assumed the form of a caterpillar. And as a caterpillar, he was on a bunch of flowers that were going to be offered to Maharaj Pariksit. And then the caterpillar transformed into Takshaka, and he approached Maharaj Pariksit and bit him, and he burst into flames. End of Maharaj Pariksit. So that's a little bit of the description that we heard when we were visiting in Haridwar and Sukratal, the place where the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. It's a nice place. Maybe some of you have been to 26 Second Avenue. If you've been to 26 Second Avenue, if you haven't been, please go someday. And when you go, turn your antenna on and pick up the vibrations of the place. And it's a spiritual place. It's just on Second Avenue, it's just a little storefront. And even what they did when they rented the place, because all the boards on the floor were really, really old. So this nice devotee ripped up all the boards that were on the floor and put in new boards on the floor. So it's a new floor. These years ago it was a new floor. But still the walls and the whole place, you can feel the vibration. What to speak of where Shukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. So it was a very nice place to visit. And nice to hear about Shukadeva Goswami, because another one of the class was about him. And this class was about Maharaj Pariksit, because it takes two to transfer the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very sacred place. made spiritual by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadev and Maharaj Pariksit hearing it. And this is the last slide. Shukadev Goswami ki jai. Maharaj Pariksit ki jai. Any discussion or comments?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for giving a nice lecture. My question is, so end of the 7 days, Maharaj Pariksit told he is not, he attained the fearlessness after hearing the entire Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
I just want to understand, being Pariksit Maharaj is a born devotee and he knows the philosophy. Why he has to listen again Srimad Bhagavatam to get that, attain the fearlessness? Just I want to understand.
What do you think?
Maybe I'm thinking he's already elevated.
I know, no, but in response to your question, you're going to repeat the question. I'm asking you what's your understanding of the answer to your question.
Listening to Bhagavatam again, it will give courage and fearlessness. Maybe that he is emphasizing.
He's a Kshatriya. He's not fearful. He can enter into, he went, we heard, I'm just re-emphasizing what you said in stronger language. He conquered kings in all directions on the whole surface of the earth and extracted taxes from them. He was not fearful. He was not fearful. And on top of that, he was a Kshatriya, not fearful. And he was a pure devotee, not fearful. So I'm underlining 3 times what you said. Now, then your question is, how could he become fearless if he was already fearless? Absolute. So there are degrees of perfection. Sometime next year, sometime Thanksgiving time, we'll be discussing Madhurya Kandambini in Houston, Thanksgiving weekend. And in the upper stages, so there's stages of bhakti, 9 stages. And so the topic of Rupa Goswami is sadhana bhakti in different stages, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti, and there are stages of prema bhakti. And they have names for them. And, degrees of intensity of affection for the personality of Godhead in prema bhakti. So he heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's at that stage where it's like the topmost stage of bhakti, even within the realm of prema bhakti. There's the answer to your question. Yes, he was fearless. Now, in degrees of absorption in the personality of Godhead. In that section of Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other acharyas, they comment in Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's description of degrees of perfection amongst the perfect. And for example, they put Maharaj Pariksit way up there. This Brihat Bhagavatamrita does the same thing. You familiar with that book? Brihat Bhagavatamrita, part 1 and 2. In part 2, Gopakumar goes to personalities who are perfect, and then they send him to the next person, next person, next person, next person, next person. No. These are my disqualifications. Go to that person. So there's hierarchy amongst the perfect. And that's what happened when he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. He was already squeaky clean. He was already fearless. But now he's degrees of intensity of attachment to the personality of Godhead. And thus, its counterpart, the freedom from darkness or freedom from any trace at all of fear.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Nice question.
Maharaj, also
You want to elaborate? Go ahead.
that's all I like. So, can we assume that is after hearing the Bhagavatam, that is the highest perfection? Can we assume like that?
The potential is there. The potency is there. Yes, you can assume that. Now, different persons are going to receive what the Bhagavatam has to offer in different degrees, isn't it?
Yes, Maharaj.
Take all of us in the room, for example. And then we're not Maharaj Pariksit. We're not hearing from Shukadeva Goswami for 7 days either. Something else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. I heard a different story about Maharaj Pariksit.
Oh,
When we were children, there used to be a Amar Chitragada. It used to.
What? Say, don't speak fast. Speak slowly.
Yeah. When we were children, there used to be books called Amar Chitragada.
Uh-oh.
They used to publish stories about
Comics.
Comics, exactly. And in that story, Maharaj Pariksit.
Oh, I don't even want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So how do we explain this?
They explain, hear from proper source. And if you don't hear from proper source now or growing up or reading comic books or, when you were a kid, you heard blah, blah, blah. And it may stick because you heard blah, blah, blah. Or comic book stories. And it's just not correct. So how do you understand it? You have to pay the price for hearing gobbledygook. So I don't want to hear what it says in the comic books.
Okay.
Because that might stick.
Right.
Now there are examples on the way down here. I was going over with Sri Chaitanya. There are some contradictions, these apparent contradictions within the Bhagavatam. I'll give you a couple of them, but it's right within the Bhagavatam. It's not from comic book versus the Bhagavatam. It's within the Bhagavatam. Here's an example. The example is in 10th Canto, chapter 54, Indra pays a visit to Krishna in Dwarka, and he brings Krishna two gifts. Sudharma assembly hall and a parijata tree. And then, however, there's another place in the Bhagavatam that says, when Krishna was visiting in Dwarka, he took one flower of a parijata tree, he gave it to Rukmini. Satyabhama saw the flower and asked Krishna, can you get me a tree? Everybody knows that one. So the contradiction is, and Indra said, no, I'm not going to give you the tree. So Krishna, they had a little combat with Indra and he took the tree. So there's two different narrations. So how do you reconcile them? Now that's worthy to have some discussion about. And three acharyas, I'll forward the commentary of those three acharyas to Satyasara, you can circulate them. They give the two basic explanations. It's the tense of the verb indicating is something that already happened before, although it's now being narrated as if it happened at this time, but it happened before. And then the second answer is, this is Sridhar Swami, Another option, another possible explanation is there are different kalpas, different days of Brahma. And at this day of Brahma this, and that day of Brahma that, and it makes no differentiation. So there are such things, and there's other examples. There are such things where there's apparent contradiction between the Bhagavatam says this and the Bhagavatam says that. And fortunately, we have acharyas that can help us understand how to reconcile. We'll be hearing some of that. We'll be hearing some of that over the Thanksgiving weekend.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Next.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
I think you have to stand because you stand so I can see you. Eye contact.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. So Maharaj Pariksit, Takshaka, he can burn the tree with his
Yes.
venom.
Yes.
But when he
That's in
came,
Mahabharata, by the way.
okay, when he came in front of Pariksit to beat him, after 7 days, he came as a caterpillar.
No. Before, after the 7 days of hearing Bhagavatam, then he came, yes.
Okay.
But how did he get in? Because everything was heavily guarded. He was shape-changing power. He assumed the form of a caterpillar the caterpillar nested itself in a basket of flowers that was going to be offered to the king. That's how he got in.
Hello, Maharaj.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, Maharaj. Thank
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I've been to that 22nd place, New York last year, and even the Hare Krishna tree. And then it is really like, I could still hear that the moment you are there in few minutes there, remembering it is really, still I can recollect that. So I can definitely imagine like now going into the Haridwar and here, visiting those places. So my question is that,
Speak slowly and clearly, please.
yeah, sure, Maharaj. Balaram wants to give the Subhadra to Duryodhana. So he knows that Duryodhana's mischief things. Why Balaram still,
Why? That puzzles me. And the answer is, our acharyas give two answers. One answer is, there's a natural affinity between teacher and student and teacher. And because he, Balaram, had Duryodhana as one of his students, he had others as his students, but he had some natural affinity for his student. Second reason, it had a lot to do with, not everything to do with, but a lot to do with Krishna's Leela Shakti. What does that mean? One of Krishna's unlimited potencies is Leela Shakti. Leela Shakti orchestrates Krishna's pastimes. So he, Balaram, had this affinity, a natural affinity for his student, and on top of it, it was inspired by Krishna's Leela Shakti to have special favoritism to Duryodhana, so that his a nice pastime of Arjuna marrying, in a very interesting, intriguing way. Krishna enjoys creatively solving problems, which he creates with his own potencies. It's one of his characters, a Sanskrit term for it. He's clever. And he likes exercise, just like he likes exercising chivalry. He likes exercising his cleverness. So by his own potency, he creates obstacles, then overcomes the obstacles by his cleverness. He's enjoying. He's rasa vaisaha. So part of that rasa is that Balaram has this special affinity for Duryodhana, because then he can outsmart his brother. It's just pastime. It's Leela Shakti. It kind of, That's clever. You just take whitewash and paint it with Leela Shakti, and everything becomes nice because you just covered it with Leela Shakti language. But it's true. It's true because our acharyas reveal like that. So we can trust our acharyas. We don't trust our mind. We trust our acharyas. It was inspired by Krishna's own pastime potency that he would want to do like that. And then cleverly Krishna could not disrespect Balaram, but persuade Balaram to give up that idea in favor of what Krishna wanted. It's a pastime, very sweet.
Thank you, Maharaj.
You got a question, or you just bring the microphone around?
I'm going to give a thank you note.
You're going to do what?
Thank you note.
Oh, any other questions before you do that? Yeah, that's before the announcements.
Maharaj,
The best part of class is the discussion. Yes, go ahead.
so Maharaj, it's a lot of things to learn from the pastime of this Pariksit
Yes.
Maharaj.
Yes.
But I'm not able to get what should be the key message that I should take today and learn from it and get better on my bhakti as well.
There's multiple. It's like not the, but there's multiple. Like as you said. But something that you can take from this is when you have full shelter of Krishna, he'll protect you. Now, wait a minute. He died. And look at the way he died. But in what way did he die? We're all going to die. Everything that takes, they have this nice saying, Chiranjiva. And sometimes it's translated as immortal, but it's not immortal because anything that takes birth will die. We're all going to die. So how to die? Well, you're fearless. Right? And the squeaky clean fearless, the topmost stage of love of God fearless. That's super excellent. So Krishna protected him that way. Not the body would never die. Krishna's promises, he'll protect his devotee, doesn't mean your body won't die. So the key message is you take shelter of Krishna and he'll give you his protection. And to take shelter of him isn't complacency. It's just like be a nice meditator. That's nice. But then we all have some capacity for work. And you do that for Krishna too, with the same absorption. Same absorption. Same absorption. In everything. As Maharaj Pariksit did, and you're protected. You're protected means Purnarjanmana. The problems of life are permanently solved. No more birth, no more death, no more old age disease. I was at UT Denton yesterday, and this is one of the topics. What does it mean? They want to know what's wrong with, not exactly, it wasn't put this way, but what's so miserable about material life? Okay, we're supposed to want liberation. What's the problem? Threefold miseries. Tapatrayon mulanam. There's threefold miseries that they're just having a body. Miseries arising from body and mind. Miseries arise from other living entities. Miseries arise from disturbances of nature. And just have a body, being a spirit soul in a body, and you got problems that you don't want. So the best gift is bhakti, because bhakti can take you beyond material existence, Purnarjanma na. And it's all it takes is to understand Krishna, the transcendental nature of Krishna's pastimes and his activities, and his birth and his activities, Purnarjanma na, which means that's something very special. We can recite, but then to have that realization that you carry with you right up until that moment that's going to happen for all of us when you leave the body, that's going to determine where the soul goes. So take that kind of shelter. And even when some misfortune comes, you're protected. Misfortune comes. Unexpected misfortune comes. Are you ready? No, because it's unexpected. And then you have to have real shelter. And then you're protected. Even good times, that go the other direction. Let's go the other direction. Sometimes people have good fortune. Canto 10, chapter 10. Now the Kuver and Manigriva, they were sons of the treasure of heaven. They had wealth. And the treasure of heaven, Kuvera, was given the title by Manu as the treasure of heaven and given a place of residence. The place of residence was Mount Kailash. Kuvera was on such a level that he had a friendship with Lord Shiva and granted Lord Shiva a place to reside on his mountain. So he accepted. So that became his place, but it was actually Kuvera's place. And the sons of Kuvera became worshippers of Lord Shiva. And so there they were, with all kinds of wealth in this prestigious position of being intimate servants of Lord Shiva. And they had a problem called pride. And so they had to undergo some difficulty because of that pride. Fortunately, Nara is the one who helped them overcome it. But the consequence of their pride was 100 celestial years as a tree, with full memory of their misdeeds when they were demigods, for 100 celestial years. So there's problems of having good fortune, there's problems of having ill fortune, if you're not Krishna conscious. So the lesson is take full shelter. So even whether it's good fortune, ill fortune, you're not, when in that Nava Kuvera Mani Griva were freed, as was predicted by Narada, by seeing the personality of Godhead, they returned to their position of sons of Kuvera in the heavenly realm. For 100 celestial years isn't the full reign. They returned to their demigod position, but now they're pure devotees. And that's the lesson. Whether it's good fortune, ill fortune, what's your shelter? What's really important to you? And there's sadhana, once you have determined what's really important to you, to come to the stage of perfection. Perfection doesn't fall from the tree. It's something that you have to, make yourself qualified by proper sadhana and proper sadhu sangha. That's the lesson. Yes.
Can I ask another question, Maharaj?
Sure.
So I
Your
have.
first question was a good one.
Oh, thank you, Maharaj.
Is the second one good one too?
I'm not sure, but I can ask question.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
there are like two questions, but both are interlinked. Maharaj, in that narration, so Kali asked where I need to stay. Then Pariksit Maharaj gave 4 places.
Yes.
But Kali said no one is residing that place. So I need another place, he asked. Then he gave gold. So my first question is the gold means literally gold
Oh,
or in
literally.
money?
Hoarding gold. You know, during that period of time, that was the currency. And now it's not gold, it's paper. Promissory notes and all kinds of things like that. So, but that's gold. In worldly estimation, that which has value, arta, that which has value. Second question.
Yeah, Maharaj. In that case, see now being we are all myself devotee, practicing devotee, we are not going all the 4 places, but we had to deal with the currency, right?
Okay, so deal with it, but don't hoard it.
So,
It's not where it is, it's the hoarding of it. You know what hoarding means? You have more than what you need and you enjoy just looking at it. And let me get some more, let me get some more, let me get some more. And there's nothing wrong with having wealth as a householder, you have to. Or let's say you know, to build the temple and to maintain the temple. It costs, you know, some Lakshmi to maintain a temple. So should we not have temples because it costs money to maintain a temple? But it is so hoarding it is the issue, not having it.
thank you, Maharaj. This is a long pending question I could ask today. Thank you for nicely enlightening us. A wonderful discussion I ever had. Thank you, Maharaj.
Well, you know, most of the people in this room are householders or will be householders at some point in their life. It's not that having money is going to contaminate you. It's being greedy and hoarding and stocking it and looking at it and feeling proud that you've got it. Instead of, you know, whatever you have, you use that in Krishna's, not just wealth, anything that's given to you, that you have ability to sing, the ability to something. God-given things are fine. Just use them in your service. Okay, you have something. Yes. It's a trick microphone. You have to press the button.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
So this question is somewhat related to Prabhu's one. When Krishna creates Kali, he has a reason for that.
That's right.
And now Maharaj Pariksit is giving 4 places and some other places for Kali to live.
Right.
So can we understand like, so people, Krishna is giving also intelligence to people so that if you follow the regulative principles, you can escape the atrocities of Kali in the Kali Yuga itself.
Yeah.
And people for not following, they have to go through.
Yeah.
So
You got it. Well done. Well done.
So we have to give the intelligence to other people. Also.
Well, we follow the intelligence given to us through disciplic succession. And then as much as you know, others have a willingness to receive, you give. But you have to be careful because some people are not willing to receive. They may be insulted, they may insult Krishna or you or the disciplic succession or something. So that's not the forerunner. The regular principles is not what's up front. What's up front is to be happy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. I think that's it. We're going to end. She's going to do her little announcements now. Short and sweet.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving us such a wonderful class. Let's give a big round of applause to Maharaj. Maharaj, you showed us Shukratal, where Sukdev Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much for that, Maharaj. And I don't want to give a detailed one, but thank you so much for covering the entire pastime of Maharaj Pariksit Maharaj. Yes. His previous, his grandparents' pastimes and his father and mother, and how he was born, and the names, and the glories of his. And I really like the point that you said, that how even though he was dying, his personal crisis, but he was still concerned for his citizens, which is the true form of a king. And finally, how he was cursed, and what led to the what he did for the 7 days. That's very important. And fortunately, we have got the Srimad Bhagavatam because of that. And we are so fortunate that we get to read Bhagavatam and listen to Bhagavatam because of him. And finally, how he passed away. Thank you so much, Maharaj. That was amazing. Thank you so much for giving us your association. Let us chant one time for Maharaj, to thank Maharaj for such an amazing class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devotees, quick reminder, Maharaj